Hey, yo guys, TeamVLR here with a special deck profile. But before that, quick shout out to our sponsor, 401games.ca. If you guys are in the market for any Yu-Gi-Oh singles, sealed product, things like that, be sure to check out their website. Use code TeamVLR for 10% off your purchase. It supports the channel and we'd really appreciate it. Anyways, on to the video. So I'm here with my buddy George.
Yo, that's me.
What are we profiling today?
So today we're doing Sky Strikers. I uploaded a Yu-Gi-Oh Pro replay video recently. If you guys enjoyed that, here's a deck profile of it. A little bit of background for this deck. I did a profile like a couple weeks ago. Not much has changed. New Master Rule, new Banlist, and Zeke came out. So I did make a couple of changes, enough to warrant a deck profile, but it's not that much different. But anyways, let's get into it. First deck profile of Master Rule 5.
Yeah. It's not Master Rule 5.
New Master Rule.
Master Rule Revision.
Revision,
whatever they're called.
Started off with a bang. Anyways, starters. 3 Ray, 3 Rose. Again, I don't get why people play any less than 3 Rose. It's a starter, regardless of whether or not you can summon it when your Sky Striker monster is destroyed. You need it to start your engine. It gets you +2 every time. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Hand traps. 2 Ogre, 2 Bell, 2 Ash, 2 Nib.
Jeez.
So this is literally the same lineup except for Nib. So the thing with Zeke is it lets you play a lot more cards that you maybe like couldn't, or maybe it was kind of awkward to play before. But now with Nib, even though you summon the Nib, you can still link it off with another Sky Striker monster and make Zeke and still do your Sky Striker plays. And on top of that, Zeke's banish effect banishes the token for Nib, and tokens can't come back when they're banished. So even though Zeke says it comes back the next turn, it doesn't anymore. So it's a good way to out the token if it's really beefy. It synergizes really well with Nib, and like there's a lot of combo setup decks right now, and you kind of need Nib to play. The rest of the hand traps, the same. The only one I'm kind of iffy about is because kind of the meta is like undefined right now. We're in this weird kind of
There is no meta right now.
Yeah, this weird pseudo meta that doesn't really exist. I think Bell is still pretty good. It's a 1-for-1 a lot of the time. It's really good against Shaddolls, and I think Shaddolls are pretty good right now. Ash, obviously good against a lot of decks, especially rogue decks. Ghost Ogre is still decent, I think. That's why I'm still running it. It is really bad against Shaddol, like I'll give you that. But against every other deck, it's pretty decent. And also synergizes with your deck very well with Area 0. So yeah, it's the hand trap lineup. A lot of them are tuners, but I don't really run Needle Fiber. Honestly, I don't see a need to run Needle Fiber. And the OCG, they run it because they have Engage, and it's easier to set up, and you can make Moral Sword. We don't really have that here. We just have to rely on Utopia Double.
So like, what would you even summon?
You summon another tuner to rank up into Moral Sword. It's just summon spamming. Yeah. But like, it's really not worth it in my opinion. And like, who's holding a hand trap to just normal summon it and make Needle Fiber? I would have used it already. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. Anyways, that's the monsters as usual. Low monster count Sky Strikers. Sky Striker cards, spells wise, 3 or 0, 1 multi-roll.
Why one multi-roll?
Don't do this to me. Love your friends. Yeah, just starter cards. Obviously, Area 0 is really good. It gets you started if you find Ray or Rose, and then obviously multi-roll and Area 0 is a starter. Some removal cards. If you guys recall, I was running Vector Blast. People kind of were pounding on me for using Vector Blast. You guys don't even know that card was actually decent.
Did it work? Or did you stop running it?
No, I stopped running it simply because we're in the new Master Rule now. No, it's because we're in the new Master Rule.
Yeah, the extra monster zone, right?
If people don't summon to the extra monster zone, Vector Blast doesn't do anything. So that's why I stopped running it. But it actually had some like decent like usage back in the day with Rose and monsters you couldn't out. But obviously now that people can just avoid summoning to the extra monster zone, it's like a lot worse. So I run 2 Dragon Wave now instead of 1, and then 2 Afterburner. Honestly, if you have a preference for one or the other, you can even sub these out for like Emergency Controller, which is another good interruption going second card. Again, the deck's still going second. I mean, you can go first more now because of 2 Widow Anchor, but most of the time you're going second. So these are good removal cards. Obviously, it's good for grind because it's always 2-for-1s if you have 3 or more spells. Again, a big turning point. Yes, I knew this was gonna happen. Yes. Honestly, this actually made the biggest difference because now you can safely do the Widow Anchor, End-Phase Shizuku play with multi-roll. Whereas before, you kind of had to search with Shiz and kind of like keep adding it back with Gogari. Now you can waste 1 for like some sort of interruption if you're forced to go first.
You can be reckless then.
Yeah, you can be a little reckless and it's safe. Also, it's cool if you like set up 2 and you go for game by taking both of your opponent's monsters. Again, really needed. I think it still could come to 3 in my honest opinion, but like, we'll see if that happens. I don't know.
They were so fast with giving you guys stuff back. You know, there's other dumb things still on the balance.
You know what it is? It's because it's a very popular deck. A lot of people played it, but I think more so than that, they're just trying to figure out the best way to balance it without it being broken. So they're testing a lot of things every format. But you're right. They're putting a lot of effort into it. I don't know why. They're like
a hard
they really care. They're like, we have to make it perfect. I don't know why. Some one-ups. Shark Head-In, it used to be at 2 because you had no interruption with just one Widow Anchor. But I think now that you have 2 Widow Anchor, you don't necessarily need 2. It was kind of a brick a lot of the time. And without knowing whether or not Graveyard decks are super relevant, like, this might not be good at 2. I might change this, but for now, this is what I have it at. So, Ego Booster is still good. I might want more than 1, but honestly, it's never come up. And sometimes when I see it, it just does nothing anyways. So I just keep it at 1. The searches sometimes I should use it off multi-roll. The 1, because obviously we can only have 1. And then another contested thing in the comments, like, why do people not think this is good? Literally, it sets up Utopia double plays, or it gives you a free summon. It's kind of like a Hornet Jones, but now you have more than 1 Hornet Jones.
Yeah.
I don't see why you wouldn't run this. This is a really good card. Again, you are going second, so you need some sort of equalizer. I still stand by Lightning Storm because evenly matched uses your battle phase, and you need your battle phase a lot in this deck, whether it's Hayate or Utopia double. So obviously, I still stand behind this. It might be a little better now because like a lot of combo decks I hit and trap decks were like untouched, so this might be even better.
Also the spell.
Yeah, sets up spells. Even the master's not a spell to trap. Mind control. So I've been waiting to play this card with Zeke because it synergizes very well with Zeke. You just take the monster and you link it off into Zeke. Unfortunately, you got hit to 1, so you can only run 1. But it's pretty decent going second, especially if they leave a level 4 in the field. One time, like some guy said a Shadal monster, I took it. I think it was Dragon. It was level 4. I flipped it and just made Utopia double. It was pretty sick. 3 called by. Not only is it a good interruption if you're forced to go first, it's also a way to secure that your Hayate or Kagari or Shiz always resolve. Pretty good in that regard. And again, if it's a graveyard format, it's just inherently better anyways. Yeah. It's also a spell, like Sina said earlier. 1 Terra, because you want to see your pseudo starter. 1 upstart, 40 card spell. Rhoda. So another change that happened on the ban list is Avarice came to 3.
We're only 2.
Yeah, here's the thing. Avarice is really good in this deck because honestly, sometimes you can set it up in 2 turns, sometimes it takes a little longer. It's very hard to set it up in 1 turn. You would have to have 1 hand trap in the grave at least, and then use your Ray, which you kind of don't want. You kind of want Ray to stay in the grave. So that for that reason, I run 2. By turn 2, sorry, by your second turn, you're obviously going to use it, so it's pretty good. And I want to see it sometimes, but again, at 3, I feel like it would be a break, to be honest with you. It's really good though. It's kind of like a pseudo engage. It's your pluses. Honestly,
the real question is, what is that?
So if you guys recall, we did the Shredall duel recently, and this came in there. So luckily enough, I had the second copy. Otherwise, I would have just been playing 1 because I don't have more than 1 Avarice. Yeah, we're under lockdown right now. I couldn't get a secret. So.
Yeah, it's trouble.
Yeah, but yeah, it's pretty good. It's like a pseudo engage. It replaced my Pot of Desires at 2 because now I want my Wind Ranger to stay in my deck.
Yeah.
And then finally, the card you never want to draw.
That you draw all the time.
Yeah. And my deck fell into the graveyard. The real like graveyard, the garbage.
Yeah.
Extra deck. Right, let's get started. Token.
Sick.
Sickest token of all time. Sky Striker monsters. 3 Shiz, obviously. 3 Kagari, I love you. 3 Hayate. I see people running with less than this. You kind of need this A, to cheese for game, and B, to set up your Kagari plays. Even if there's nothing left to send, it's just good to thin out your deck. So yeah.
Damn, this one's not even worthy of being included.
No, he's the loader. He's the guy that's left out. No, it's okay to cheese time and sometimes to stop OTKs, but other than that, it's just there for, I guess, Sky Striker names for Ray to summon. The one of Zeke. So yeah, you can run this at 2. I think that's okay. You can get away with that. It's just that extra deck space is very tight for me, so I run 1. Honestly, seldom do I ever need 2. But yeah, you run 1. It lets you play a lot more cards now, like Mind Control, Enemy Controller, Nib, Phantasme. As you guys saw, I don't run Phantasme. I just opted to play hand traps that did something all the time instead of just having a chance to draw something that does something sometimes. And also Phantasme, even though it's a +1 in most decks, in my deck, it's really just a +0 because you're gonna link off that Phantasme anyways. So yeah, 1 Zeke, pretty good card. On summon, you banish a monster on the field, even if it's self, if you just want to get rid of it for some weird reason, or another monster you control that's in the main monster zone, for the until the next end phase, not the current end phase, the next end phase. Also, you can send something you control to the graveyard against 1,000 attack, which could be good for a game if you take something with a Wind Anchor, or Shark Cannon maybe, and it can't attack, and you send it to the grave for extra damage. It's pretty good. It also points up and down, decent zones. Phoenix, obviously you need that to out anti-spell, Imperial, Village.
All floodgates.
Yeah. And then finally the OTK enablers. Still run Whirl Sword. It's easier to summon now if anything because you have Wind Anchor, so it's just more monsters on your side of the field. And obviously Utopia double. It's too free not to play. You run a lot of rank 4s. You could take you run a lot of level 4s. You could take level 4s. It's just too good not to play.
Also, you don't have to get the downward pointing arrow anymore.
No, yeah, it's funny. But in Sky Strikers, you always want to summon it to the extra zone anyways, just so your Sky Striker cards are live. It's kind of weird. Side deck. I changed this up a little. 2 Gammy. Gamma feels really good right now against a lot of those like infinite negate combos which you can't out otherwise. decent in that regard.
Why not the wind one? What if they summon the wind barrier statue?
GG. Wait, if they summon the wind barrier statue, can't they not do some more given a negate?
Yeah, they're choosing either one.
Okay, then Afterburner, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, yeah, Gamma Seal. I run it at 2 because honestly I was seeing duplicates sometimes and it's just really bad. I only really ever want to see it one time. For the same reason as I run Gamma Seal, those infinite combo decks, those big combo setup boards that you can't out otherwise. Usually you only play this in decks that can like attack over those monsters you negated, but you have Afterburner, you have Jamming Wave, you have Zeke, you have a lot of ways to out their monsters even though they're like big and beefy. So I think it's still good enough to run, but not at 3 because you see it too often. You only really want to see it one time. Twin, still need some back row hate. You do run a lot in the main deck, being 2 Lightning Storm, 2 Jamming, 2 Afterburner. But sometimes you need a quick effect for like Imperial and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I still run 2. Evilly, still a good card. It was best against Spirals, and Spirals might still be relevant. I'm not sure, but like,
No.
oh, they're not. Okay, coming from the Grandmaster himself, they're not apparently. Never mind.
No, they're
But
not.
still good against trap decks and certain and heroes too. Honestly, because heroes just set up a big board with no negate. So if you guys have trouble with heroes, I don't know who that is. Dimensional Barrier.
To also stop heroes.
Yeah, and DDG. I kept calling this barrier in the last video. I meant DDG. My bad. So these are the going first cards if you're opting to go first or like you're forced to go first. This used to be Shared Ride. I don't think Shared Ride is as good anymore because I don't think a lot of decks are searching. Spirals is mainly the main proponent of that.
Yeah.
They'll search like 1,000 times. And also Shared Ride is not as good late game as you would think it was because they already searched everything in their deck. They're not doing too much searching anymore. So opted for D Barrier. I mean, it's MR5. I'm assuming people are going to try like extra deck based decks. So this is probably going to be decent. It's already decent against Shadal. It's already decent against Hero. So yeah, I'm running that. And it's always good. Like if you see a late game, it still does something. And then DDG, obviously, if graveyard decks are still relevant, this is always going to be good. It's decent against Shadals. It's okay against Salmon Grades. It doesn't really end their turn, but like sometimes it's pretty impactful. Yeah, still a good going first card.
It basically ends their turn, like, or they just have to do something like really bad.
Yeah, but if they draw traps and they get to Banlist, it doesn't really
Well,
matter.
they're lucky.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so these again are if you're forced to go first, and they're chainable if you haven't realized to play around evenly and twin and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the profile. Again, I didn't change much, but I thought it would be nice to show you guys what I did change. This is the current list. Again, that can change at a moment's notice, specifically the hand traps too, because depending on what the meta is, I might play different cards. That's what it is right now. Try it, tell me what you think, and yeah, TeamVLR's out. Peace.